All right, the Eagles are a great football team, playing just phenomenal. Obviously now with a 10-game winning streak, and of course 12-2 on the year, a very legitimate shot at the 1 seed. Obviously, Super Bowl talk is in the air, and Nick Sirianni is with us right now. He's brought to us every week by Bud Light. Join Devin at Union Jack's Pub in Glenside this Sunday for a special Eagles pregame party. Win tickets to an Eagles home game and merchandise this Sunday. Of course, this Sunday, the Eagles will be taking on Washington on the road, and Nick Sirianni joins us right now. Good morning, Nick.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Nick,
hi, Nick.
Congratulations on a 10-game winning streak. I mean, that is first time in the franchise history. It's a remarkable achievement. And, of course, from last week with some drama that was kicking around, I've got to imagine you are exceedingly proud of your football team and what you guys have been able to accomplish the last couple months now.
Yeah, that was a tough football team we played this week. We did and came out with a win. And to do something with this organization, to do something that's never been done in this organization, that always feels good. But you know what? That lasted for a little bit, and now we're on to the Commanders.
Nick, was last week tough for you or not?
You know, again, like last week, we talked about this. Like, you know, there was, you know, some outside noise as we saw, and you know what, what I saw that after, and you know, obviously we kind of created it, right? But after we kind of addressed it and went through it, it was kind of a, you know, it was just kind of a non-issue for us anymore. We just went back to work. And again, I just have so much respect for these guys and the resiliency that they have, and you know, no matter what it is, they're locked in, they're focused, and they're ready to go. And I think, again, I know, you know, again, you guys only get to see a little bit part of this, but that story lasted for the week for the outside world, but for us, it was I'm not gonna sit here and say it didn't. You know, we talked about it, we spent some time on it, but it lasted one and a half days, and then we had moved on.
Did it feel like Jalen was affirming you when he spoke of watering specific areas of the yard from week to week, game plan to game plan?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. We say a lot. I say a lot of things he says. He says a lot of things I say, and you know, I think that happens because we spend so much time together. You know, I love. I think I've said a lot. The standard is what it is, and I know that's a big line Jalen says. So we spend a lot of time together. We want what's best for this football team, and man, I'm so glad he's our quarterback.
So we saw the benefits of watering the passing game last week. What do you think still needs watering for this team?
Yeah, just to get better every single day. You know, we have specific things we always want to work on. You know, there's going to be a new set of things to work on versus particular opponents, like particularly the Commanders this week. And so we just want to keep getting better. We want to just keep putting, you know, money in our account so we can keep getting better. And that's all our focus is. Again, I think what happened, you know, again, I've said this multiple times that I really believe that our passing game has been so efficient through the past couple months. Now, I know we haven't thrown for a lot of yards, but, I mean, at the end of the day, it's hard to rush for all the yards we've rushed for and throw for all the yards as well. It's just not enough plays in the game. There's not enough things, you know, not enough ball to go around for that. And so, but I feel like we've been highly, highly, highly efficient. You know, looking at Jalen's quarterback rating, looking at the yards per attempt, looking at how many turnovers we had. And so he's just been highly efficient, and, you know, it was good to get some passing yards the way the game was being played this week. But I just think, you know, again, we've continued to improve in every area of our game, from our fundamentals, offensively, defensively, special teams wise. And we just got to keep on our path, and our focus will be solely on the Washington Commanders this week.
It appeared that Jalen made quicker choices and threw more 50-50 balls into the single coverages that you guys were getting against the Steelers. What went into that? That risk-reward balance in the passing game being just dead on this week.
Yeah, you know, with A.J. Brown, because those vertical balls were going to him, we don't look at those as 50-50. with Jalen putting it on the money like he did. Like AJ has maybe the best ball skills I've ever seen. Not maybe, he has the best ball skills I've ever seen.
Wow.
Of a receiver that I've been around or that I've watched, and he just. You can tell how much catch AJ played growing up. He's obviously got a God-given ability to be able to catch a football, but you can just tell. Like I could just see him, growing up playing catch with the football, with the baseball, and it's just so impressive to watch him track a football. And Jalen put those things right on the money. I mean, it really, we're seeing something special every time that there's a deep ball from Jalen to AJ because. Jalen throws a pretty deep ball, and AJ, like I said, man, he's got an incredible ability to track the football.
Nick Sirianni with us right now, obviously riding high with the 10-game winning streak and playoff berth already, and a shot to win it all this year. Nick, I've got a theory. We have a lot of theories and a lot of conversation here at WIP about your team and you. And one of the things that has struck me is I think that you, I don't know if it's intentional or not, and that's what I want to find out, blend new school and old school principles as a coach. And I'm curious from your standpoint how intentional it is. I mean, here's the way I see it. New school, and you were criticized for some of this upon your arrival as a head coach. Connectivity, less taxing training camps. You clearly don't publicly criticize your players. Bobby Knight did not adhere to that rule, by the way. But old school, and you've been big on this for 4 years. We hear you talk about it. Accountability. We saw you get on Jalen Carter the other day during the game. Physical toughness. You constantly talk about you want your team to be physically tough, mentally tough, which, of course, I think you term dog mentality. But basically what you're saying is be resilient. Attention to detail. I mean, these are traits that the Bobby Knights of the world would admire. And I'm curious if you can speak to how intentional it has been from your standpoint to blend old school principles and new school principles with your coaching.
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. I think that, there are truths to this sport and any sport really that are going to stand the test of time no matter if it's when Bobby Knight's coaching, when I'm coaching, you name a coach in 20 years from now, 40 years from now, when I'm long gone, playing with high detail is going to be important. Having accountability to get better, right? Accountability, again, is all about how do we get better. It's not an attack on anything. It's just how do we get better from the moments that we did well on, or the moments that we failed to live up to our standard. All those things, physical toughness in this sport. Shoot, I mean, I know my kids. What I say to them every time they go out: have fun, play hard, be physical. My 3 kids, and they're going to be saying that because it's going to be the truth, no matter if again, whatever year it is. Those are the truths of football, and so that is the old school approach that we have because it's just so, it's so what it is, and it's always going to be that way, and it's never going to change, especially in this physical sport of football. As far as the whatever you want to say, new school, where did I learn how important it is to connect? Well, from my dad with his former players, and my college coach so much with him, and those guys are as old school as they get, and so. I don't know. It's just the things that when you come up with the core values of what you want your programs and your team to be based off of, you look at all the good places that you've been and what's been the common denominator of it, and that's all that is. So some of it may be looked at as old school, some of it may be looked at as new school. I know that my dad, I didn't get it from my dad. I knew they used to have camp practices where they'd have 3 a days, right? So I don't think I got that far from them.
Yeah.
Because the rules are a little bit different at this particular point. But make no mistake about it, because you say training camp, this and that. Our guys practice hard. It's a different type of way you do it. You might not be out there for 3 hours, but when we're out there, we're going as hard as we possibly can. The intensity is as high as it can possibly be. And so working hard is always, that's another one. Working hard and putting in the hours and putting in the time to be successful on Sunday, that will be the truth of football for the rest of time as well.
how much does practicing in pads, the young guys being bought in, the way that you've managed to get the young guys to buy into this idea of hitting, it is so unique, Nick. The have fun, play hard, be physical. I'm positive that the be physical part, you have to practice being physical to be physical on Sunday, and you're doing it. And we've seen the videos where you say, hey, guys, see you tomorrow. We're going to be practicing, and everyone loves it. That physicality, how much of that is because practice is more physical, not always walkthroughs, but hitting at times?
I think it starts with, to be physical as a football team, you got to get physical players. So that's what we look at, and Howie's done a great job of getting the right guys in here, and we talk about that a lot. Get tough guys, mentally tough, physically tough guys, because, at the end of the day, those are the guys that are going out. And so those types of players want to be physical. They want to practice with pads when we – and you're restricted for how many times that you can practice in pads and all those different things, as the season continues on. But our guys want to, don't blink an eye when we do that, because they know they've been playing with great physicality, the way they defeat blocks, the way they combo blocks together, the way they are tackling. And we're not going, full to the ground as we practice, but, we're rapping and thudding, and we're doing everything but going to the ground there. And so, again, these guys have shown me from day one their relentless effort, and I talk about relentless effort on the field a lot, but relentless effort on the practice field, in the meeting room, in walk through to get better. They have a relentless will, relentless effort to get better, because we just want to keep getting better, and it's been a fun ride so far. We just want to keep going with this week into Washington.
Hey, Nick, do you message to the guys this week? Will you message the 1 seed reality? I mean, do you even spend 10 seconds on we want the 1 seed, or do you not even address that?
Not even a little bit. Our sole focus is control what we can control, and what we can control is our game. And that's not to say that fans and you guys shouldn't talk about it all the time. I know you guys will, but our focus is what can we control. If we keep winning and if we win this week, we'll see what happens. But we can't focus on that. The more you focus on things that you can't control, like the 1 seed or playing the Giants or the Cowboys, anybody other than the Washington, is the less you're going to focus on the things that you can control that have a direct effect of if you win or lose this week. And I'm a firm believer in that. I think John Wooden, when I read one of his books, that he talked a lot about that. The more you think about the things that you can't control, the less you're going to be able to focus on the things that you can.
Nick, can you talk just for a sec about how last week was such a different type of coaching week for any coach, I'm sure, but for you, you had all of these emotional hurdles to deal with, in addition to a huge game with the Steelers. On top of that, are we just unaware as fans how much goes into this every week emotionally, or was last week an especially strange, emotionally fraught week compared to your everyday NFL week 15?
What week are we in here now? 15, 16. Everything gets emotional this late into the season. You know how it is. You're tired. You've been grinding for 4 months, and every week has its own set of things that you deal with, but every week, you still are working to connect with the guys. Every week you're still working to have extreme detail. Every week you're focusing on how we can be mentally tough, physically tough, relentless effort, and reminding them again, just continuing to remind that. I think one thing about leadership is the burden of leadership is repetition, right? Not getting tired of saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? Because that's what your core values and you want everyone to be believing. And so at this time of the year, everything will be that way, but you wouldn't have it any other way, because this is a great time of the year. Not that September football is not. I love September football. I love October football. I love November football. Now we're closing down the stretch, and this week particularly, because it's the next week against the Commanders, is going to be a great week as well.
Nick, final thing here. Jalen Carter, perhaps your best defensive player, could win Defensive Player of the Year this year. Do you worry about his snaps? I know the snaps were low last week because there weren't many plays against you, but he has had a lot this year. Is that a concern for you? Do you try to get him a bit of a breather in the final 3 games because you're trying to play that game in February?
Yeah, again, our focus is to how we win every game. We owe that to ourselves, or we owe that to you guys. We owe that to our fans of how do you win every single game. Can you imagine him not being in the game and us losing the game because he wasn't in? You'd have a different question for me, wouldn't you?
Yep.
But we try to manage that. It's like I talked to you guys about with Saquon. You try to manage that through the week with how you practice and how you have to give him some time off here and there. Last week was different, and I know he's had games before that he was, played almost every snap against Baltimore. But last week was different in the sense of that was on our mind last week to be able to rotate a little bit and this and that. But the way the game, when you go 3, when do you rotate? He's going to start the series, right? And they go 3 and out, or the offense is on the field for a very long time. Right, then you're like, all right, well, he's only played 35 snaps, so I think it can be confusing sometimes in a game like that to look at the percentages because, again, everyone was probably higher than their percentage in that game. The guys that are starters, or their percentages were probably all higher. I know Sweaty's was. They were higher there because again, they didn't get into the flow of drives, or our offense was on the field for so long that, they were able to go a little bit more in their drive because they didn't have a long drive before that. And so, again, like I said, every week we'll do everything we can to win that game. It's on our mind, and we try to manage that as much as we can in practice. But we do also want rotations in our defensive line. But Jalen Carter is unique, and I think that's a great question, but I think what you got to look at is and give Jalen Carter so much credit for is how good a shape he's in to be able to do that, and how much he's worked on his body. That is highly impressive that he can play, because you're talking about him, with all this, all the accolades that he could get this year, but he's doing that and he's playing every play because he's in such good shape and playing at such a high level. If we saw a dip in it, then you'd probably be like, all right, let's get him out a little bit more. So, again, a lot of things that go into that, always on our mind, but he's playing really good football.
Hey, Nick, we're not going to be here Tuesday next week with it being Christmas Eve, so our last opportunity to talk to you before Christmas, and I just want to wish you and your family and your football team a Merry Christmas, our best to your whole existence in the holiday season, and, of course, good luck on Sunday against Washington.
Oh, shoot, I appreciate that. Merry Christmas to the fans and you guys as well. Appreciate that.
You got it, Nick.
Thanks,
Stay well, Nick. Good
Merry
luck on
Christmas.
Sunday. There he is, Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni. 215-592-9494. Your chance to react. I'll tell you one thing, Ruben. He never gloats. If there's anybody who has had a chance to gloat and doesn't, it's Sirianni.
I think he's toned things down as far as that
has.
stuff. And it's part of the process of maturing. I mean, he's maturing as a coach. And I go back to the same thing I talked to Howie about when he first hired him. He said he's not only a great coach, he's a great person. And so far, he's showing it. I think he's showing it, and he continues to grow on me.
He really is. All right, your reaction to it all, of course, back with another hour. Time's yours ultimately, the end of next hour. But a lot of phone calls up ahead. Joe DeCamera and John Ritchie on 94 WIP.